Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be writing this. I'm really struggling with something, and I'm not sure if I'm overreacting or if this is as serious as it feels. I need some advice or just someone to tell me if I'm crazy for what I'm thinking. My name is Jake, and I've been married to my wife, Lauren, for 6 years. We met in college, fell in love fast, and I thought we were building a great life together. We've always had a pretty solid relationship, or so I thought. But lately, I've been feeling like something isn't right. Something has been off for a while, and I can't quite put my finger on it. At first, I thought I was just being paranoid. You know, the normal doubts that creep into your head when you've been in a long-term relationship. But the more I think about it, the more I feel like there's something I'm missing. Some piece of the puzzle that doesn't add up. For context, let me explain a little. Over the past few months, I've noticed small changes in Lauren's behavior. She's been more distant, emotionally and physically. She's working later at the office more often, and when she does come home, she's tired, but not the kind of tired I'm used to seeing from her. It's almost like she's mentally checked out. And when I ask about it, she always says the same thing. Just a busy week at work, Jake. I'll be fine. But it's not just that. We've always had a strong connection, and recently, I've noticed a shift in how we communicate. She's not as open anymore. Our usual heart-to-hearts, the silly inside jokes, the late-night talks, we've stopped having those. It's like we're just two roommates sharing a space instead of a married couple. And I can't ignore the growing distance. To be honest, I've tried to let it go. I know everyone goes through phases in their relationships, but this feels different. I've caught her on her phone late at night, typing quickly and looking around as though she doesn't want me to see who she's texting. When I ask her about it, she's quick to dismiss it. It's just work stuff, or just talking to a friend. Don't worry about it. But it's the secrecy, the way she keeps things from me, that's been bothering me the most. The truth is, I've been feeling increasingly suspicious. It's hard to shake the feeling that there's something more going on. I don't have concrete evidence, nothing that's irrefutable, but these little things keep adding up. I can't help but wonder if there's something, or someone, I don't know about. I hate that I've started thinking this way, but I can't help myself. It came to a head last week when I was doing some cleaning around the house. We had both been really busy, and Lauren had been staying late at the office again. I decided to take the opportunity to clean out some of the drawers and get rid of things we didn't need. One drawer in particular stood out to me. It was Lauren's personal drawer, the one she kept in the side table by our bed. Normally, I wouldn't go through it, but I was tidying up and figured I'd give it a quick glance. I opened the drawer, and among a few scattered papers and her usual clutter, I found something that made my heart stop. It was a small jewelry box, nothing special in appearance, but enough to catch my attention. I opened it, half expecting to find some piece of jewelry she hadn't worn in a while, maybe something I could give her for an anniversary or birthday. But what I found was something I never expected. It was an engagement ring. It wasn't just any ring, it was beautiful. A diamond solitaire on a white gold band, something I know I've never seen her wear before. I stared at it for a moment, not sure what to make of it. My heart was racing, and my mind was swirling with 1,000 thoughts. Why was this ring hidden in her drawer? Why hadn't she mentioned it to me? Had she been planning on giving it to me as a surprise? Or was this something else entirely? I picked it up, turning it over in my hands, trying to process what I had just discovered. Was it possible she had bought it for someone else? Was it a sign that something more was going on? I didn't know, but the knot in my stomach was telling me that this was no accident. After finding the engagement ring in Lauren's drawer, I didn't know what to do with myself. I held it in my hand for what felt like an eternity, turning it over and over, staring at it, trying to make sense of it. My mind raced with all the possibilities, but none of them made sense. The more I thought about it, the more confused I became. I wanted to believe it was a gift for me, something she was planning to surprise me with. But that didn't explain why it was hidden away, tucked at the back of her drawer. Why hadn't she said anything about it? Why was she being so secretive? The last few months, I've been feeling a growing distance between us, and finding that ring only deepened my suspicions. I decided I had to talk to her. I had to get some answers, but I wasn't sure how to approach it. If I confronted her directly, would she lie? Would she deny everything? Or would she finally admit to what I had been fearing all along? I didn't want to go in guns blazing, but I also didn't want to ignore this. I carefully put the ring back in its box, not wanting to give anything away. I decided I'd wait until later that evening. She was supposed to be working late again, but I knew she would be home soon, and I needed to gather my thoughts before I said anything. When she came through the door that evening, looking tired and distracted, I was already sitting on the couch. waiting for her. The moment she walked in, she immediately sensed something was off. I don't know how, but I could see it in her eyes. She paused for a second, giving me a look as if she was trying to gauge what was going on. "Hey," she said, walking into the living room. "How's your day?" I could hear the hesitation in her voice, the way she wasn't looking me in the eye. I wasn't sure if it was because of the tension I was feeling, or if she knew I had uncovered something I wasn't supposed to. "Sit down. We need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I wasn't angry yet, but I could feel the frustration building up inside me. Her expression changed slightly, and she lowered herself onto the couch, sitting next to me. I could tell she was nervous, but she wasn't saying anything. I decided to cut straight to the point. "Why was there an engagement ring hidden in your drawer?" I asked, watching her closely. "Lauren, I found it, and I need you to explain it to me." Her face went pale. For a moment, she didn't speak, just sat there, her hands trembling slightly. She was trying to find the right words, I could tell. I can explain," she started, her voice cracking. "It's not what you think." I waited, my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted her to say the right thing. I wanted her to tell me this was all a misunderstanding, that it wasn't what it seemed. But the longer she hesitated, the more my gut told me that there was something I wasn't being told. "Then tell me," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, though the anger was starting to seep in. "Why would you hide an engagement ring, Lauren? Why would you keep it from me?" She swallowed hard and finally spoke. "Jake, I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been planning this surprise, but not for you." That was the moment everything seemed to freeze. I didn't even know how to process what she said. My mind immediately went to the worst possible conclusion. "What do you mean, not for me?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Her eyes filled with tears, and she took a shaky breath. "I was going to leave you, Jake. I've been seeing someone else. His name is Mark, and I've been seeing him for months now." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Every word she said felt like a punch to the gut. I had suspected something, but hearing her admit it out loud shattered me. The pain was overwhelming, and I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. "Mark?" I asked, the name tasting bitter on my tongue. "You've been seeing him behind my back? While we've been married? I never wanted you to find out like this," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I didn't want to hurt you, but I've been feeling so disconnected from you for months now. I've been trying to figure out my feelings. And then I met Mark, and things just spiraled. I never meant for this to happen." I was stunned. I didn't know how to respond. My mind was in chaos, and everything felt like a blur. How long had this been going on? How could she have done this to me? I thought we had a good marriage. I thought we were happy. "Why, Lauren? Why did you keep it from me? Why didn't you talk to me about this?" I said, the hurt flooding through me. "I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to lose you, Jake. But I also didn't want to keep living a lie. I know what I did was wrong. I can't take it back, but I can tell you the truth now." For a moment, we both sat in silence, the weight of her words hanging heavy in the room. My mind was racing, my emotions were all over the place, but I knew one thing for sure. I had to make a decision. After Lauren's confession, everything felt like it was happening in slow motion. I couldn't grasp it all. My wife, the woman I had built my life with, had been seeing someone else for months. The engagement ring, something I thought was meant for me, was intended for another man. I couldn't comprehend it. I had so many questions, but none of them seemed to matter in that moment. My mind was spinning, and I was just trying to catch up. Lauren was crying uncontrollably beside me, apologizing, repeating how sorry she was, but all I could think about was how betrayed I felt. How had I not seen the signs? How had I not known that she was unhappy? Was I that blind? We had spent years together, and now it felt like everything had been built on lies. "Why didn't you come to me?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Why didn't you talk to me about this before? If things were bad, I would have wanted to fix them. But you just went behind my back." "I didn't know how to tell you," she sobbed. "I didn't want to hurt you. And when I met Mark, I thought maybe I was just confused. I thought I could fix it, but I couldn't. I should have told you sooner, and I regret not being honest with you from the start." I didn't know what to say. The words didn't seem to help the way I thought they would. She was sorry, and I knew she felt guilty. But the pain, the anger, the betrayal, it was all still there. Nothing she said could make it go away. "I need space, Lauren," I said, standing up and pacing around the room. "I can't deal with this right now. I don't even know what to think anymore." I felt like I needed to escape, to clear my head. This wasn't something I could process in one sitting. Lauren's face fell when she heard me say those words, but she didn't argue. She didn't try to stop me. She knew, deep down, that I needed time to figure things out. I understand, she whispered, her voice small. I'll give you space. Just please know that I love you, and I'm willing to do anything to fix this. But I wasn't sure if I could ever fix this. And if I'm being honest with myself, I wasn't sure I even wanted to anymore. Over the next few days, I tried to process everything. I called my best friend, Adam, who had been there for me through thick and thin. He knew how happy I had been in my marriage, how much I loved Lauren. He had also been there for me when things weren't so great, when I had doubts but didn't want to acknowledge them. Now, he was the one I turned to for support. I don't know what to do, man, I said when Adam picked up the phone. I don't know how to handle this. My wife, the woman I thought I could trust with everything, has been seeing another man. And the worst part is, I didn't even see it coming. Jake, I'm so sorry. I know how much this hurts, Adam replied, his voice filled with sympathy. You're not going to be able to figure this out overnight. You've got to give yourself time. But don't do it alone. Lean on your friends and family. I don't know if I can get past this, I said, my voice breaking. I'm angry, Adam. I'm furious, and I don't know if I can ever forgive her. The trust is gone. She broke everything we had. I get it. And I'm not going to tell you what to do. But you need to make a decision that's best for you. You don't owe her anything if you don't want to forgive her. You've got to decide what's going to make you happy. Adam's words echoed in my mind over the next few days. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I needed to take a step back. I needed space from Lauren to figure out what I wanted. I told her that I was going to move out for a while. She didn't fight me on it, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. The tears kept flowing as she begged me not to leave, but I knew it was something I had to do. I didn't want to keep living in a house where everything reminded me of the betrayal. I needed to clear my head, even if it meant being apart from her for a while. I think we need some time apart, Lauren, I said quietly. I can't keep doing this. I need to figure out what I want, and I don't know if I can forgive you. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I understand, Jake. I know I've lost your trust, and I can't fix it right away. But I love you. I'll wait, if you need time. I didn't know how long I would need. But at that moment, I knew I had to take this time seriously. I couldn't rush into a decision. I needed to be sure about what was best for me and for us, if we were going to have any chance of moving forward. The first week after moving out was unbearable. Every day felt like a struggle. I stayed at a friend's house, trying to keep myself busy, trying not to think too much about everything. But my mind wouldn't stop racing. I'd look at my phone, waiting for Lauren to text me or call me, but I couldn't bring myself to respond. I needed distance, but it was hard. I went for long walks, spent time at the gym, and started focusing on work more. But no matter how much I tried to distract myself, the thoughts kept coming. The betrayal. The lies. The image of her with someone else. I wanted to scream, to lash out, but it didn't feel like it would help. I was angry, and I didn't know how to process that anger. I tried to reach out to family, to people who could offer advice, but nothing seemed to calm the storm inside of me. The hurt was just too raw, too real. Every time I thought about the future, I saw nothing but uncertainty. Then one evening, I received a text from Lauren. She hadn't contacted me in days, and I had thought maybe she was respecting the space I'd asked for. But this message was different. Jake, I know I don't deserve it, but I just want you to know that I'm still here. I'm still willing to try. I love you, and I'm not giving up on us. Her words hit me hard, and in that moment, I realized something. I didn't know if I could forgive her. I didn't know if I could get past the lies. But I wasn't ready to give up on everything yet, either. I texted back, let's talk. Soon. I hadn't seen Lauren for a week. I'd kept my distance, focusing on sorting through my emotions and trying to figure out what I really wanted. I knew that it wasn't something I could rush, but as the days passed, I began to feel the weight of it all. The heartbreak, the anger, the love that still lingered despite everything. I wasn't ready to give up on us, but I wasn't sure if I could ever move past the betrayal. When I texted Lauren to let her know we needed to talk, I was nervous, unsure of what I was walking into. I had spent the past week trying to gather my thoughts, but I knew that seeing her in person again would bring up all the unresolved emotions I had been battling. The day we agreed to meet, I found myself pacing nervously at the small cafe we had chosen. It wasn't too crowded, which felt right. It gave us the privacy we needed to have an honest, uninterrupted conversation. As I sat there waiting for her, I felt a mixture of anticipation and dread. I loved Lauren, but I didn't know if I could ever look at her the same way again. She walked in, and my heart immediately skipped a beat. There she was, the woman I had shared so many memories with, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone. But now, everything felt different. She looked at me with a sad smile, and I could see the heaviness in her eyes. She had been crying, I could tell. She was hurting too. "Jake," she said softly, walking over to the table where I was sitting. "Thank you for agreeing to meet me. I know you probably don't want to see me right now, but I just need to talk to you." I nodded, not knowing exactly how to start. But I needed answers, and so did she. I motioned for her to sit down, and we both hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I've been thinking a lot, Lauren," I started, trying to keep my voice steady. "About everything. About you, about me, about what we've been through. And the truth is, I don't know where to begin. This whole situation, it's like a blur. I can't stop thinking about it, and I can't shake the feeling that something has been broken between us." She lowered her gaze, looking ashamed. "I know, Jake. I don't blame you for feeling that way. I've done something that's unforgivable, and I don't expect things to just go back to normal. But I want you to know that I'm truly sorry for betraying you. I don't know what I was thinking. I never wanted to hurt you. But I've been lost. I've been unhappy. And instead of talking to you, I made the worst decision of my life." I could hear the sincerity in her voice, but the pain in my chest didn't ease. The trust that had once existed between us felt like it had been completely shattered. "What were you thinking when you bought the ring?" I asked, my voice quiet. "How could you hide it from me? How could you plan on leaving me and start a life with someone else?" She took a deep breath, clearly struggling to find the words. "The truth is, I wasn't planning on falling in love with him. Mark wasn't supposed to mean anything. At first, I thought I was just looking for someone to talk to, someone who could understand me. I felt so disconnected from you, Jake. I felt like you weren't interested in me anymore. I tried to talk to you about it, but you were so focused on work, and I didn't know how to reach you. When Mark came into my life, he was there. He listened. He made me feel wanted again. I was weak, and I took the easy way out. But I never meant for things to go this far. And I certainly never meant to hurt you." I took a deep breath and closed my eyes, trying to steady myself. I wasn't sure if I could believe her, but I wanted to. I wanted to believe that what had happened was a mistake, and that we could find a way to fix it. But the truth was, it was so hard to look past the betrayal. "I don't know, Lauren," I said softly, my voice cracking. "I don't know if I can get past this. I don't know if I can trust you again. Everything we've built feels like it's been tainted. And I keep wondering, why did you keep this from me for so long? Why didn't you tell me the truth?" "I was scared," she admitted, tears falling down her cheeks. "I was scared of losing you. I didn't know how to explain it. I should have told you the truth from the start, but I kept convincing myself that I could fix it on my own. I should have come to you sooner. I know I've hurt you, Jake, and I know I can't undo it. But I love you, and I want to fix this. I'll do whatever it takes." Her words hit me hard. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that she could change, that we could rebuild. But my heart was heavy with doubt, and every time I thought about her with Mark, the pain felt unbearable. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Lauren," I said, my voice low. "But I can't just walk away from everything we've built. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I can't make this decision right now. I need more time. I need to know if I can trust you again. And I need to know if I can move forward with you." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I understand. I don't expect anything from you. Just please know that I'll be here. I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I'll wait as long as it takes." I didn't know what the future held. I didn't know if I could ever forgive her. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like we were finally being honest with each other. And maybe, just maybe, that was the first step toward healing. The week after our conversation was emotionally exhausting. Lauren respected my need for space, giving me the time I had asked for. We didn't speak much, though I could tell she was holding on to hope. I still wasn't sure what to do. Every day felt like an internal battle. A part of me still loved her, wanted to believe in her, but another part of me just felt raw, betrayed, and unsure if I could ever trust her again. I tried to keep myself occupied. I spent more time at work, seeing friends, and going for long runs to clear my mind. But even when I was away from the house, it felt like the weight of the situation followed me everywhere. I couldn't escape the thoughts of her affair with Mark, the thought of her being with someone else, while I was completely unaware. I had moments of clarity where I thought maybe I could work through this. Maybe time would heal the wounds, and maybe Lauren really was remorseful. But then, I would think about the lies, the secrecy, and the engagement ring that she had hidden from me. I couldn't forget how she had tried to cover up the truth, how she'd been planning a future with someone else. A few days later, I decided I needed to meet with Lauren again. I needed to talk through everything, to make some sense of all the emotions swirling inside me. I had kept my distance, but now, I felt like I was ready for another conversation, one where we could discuss what our future might look like, if there was one for us at all. We met at a quiet cafe, one that wasn't too far from our house, and sat in the corner by the window. It felt familiar, but it also felt uncomfortable, like the life we had built together had been completely upended. Lauren showed up on time, her face still tired, but I could see that she had been trying to pull herself together. "I didn't know when you'd want to talk," she said, her voice soft. "But I'm glad you reached out." "I'm not sure where we go from here, Lauren," I said, taking a deep breath. "I'm still struggling with everything. It's been hard for me to wrap my head around all of this." "I know," she said quickly, her hands trembling as she gripped her coffee cup. "I can't even imagine how much pain I've caused you, Jake. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking for a chance to prove that I can change. I love you, and I want to spend my life with you. I never meant to hurt you." Her words were the same ones she had said before, but this time, they didn't feel as empty. There was something different in her tone, something that felt more sincere than I had heard from her in a while. "I don't know if I can trust you again," I said, the words feeling heavy in my chest. "And I don't know if I can ever forget what you did. But I also don't want to make a decision that I'll regret. I've spent a lot of time thinking about us, about whether we have a future together. And right now, I just don't know." She reached across the table, her hand trembling slightly as she placed it over mine. "I understand that, Jake. I know it's going to take time, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to rebuild your trust. I'm not asking for a quick fix, and I don't expect everything to go back to normal right away. But I'll do the work, and I'll be here. Please just give me a chance to show you that I can be the woman you deserve." I looked at her for a long moment. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that she was telling the truth, that we could get through this, but I couldn't ignore the fear that was still gnawing at me. Could I really trust her again? Could I ever look at her the same way? "I think I need to see actions, not just words," I said finally. "I need to see that you're committed to us, and that you're willing to do the work. I can't just move forward based on promises. I need to see changes." "I will, Jake. I'll show you every day," she replied, her voice full of sincerity. I wasn't sure what the future would hold, but for the first time in a while, I felt like I could consider the possibility of working things out. The road ahead was unclear, and I wasn't sure if I could ever fully trust her again. But I also wasn't ready to give up on everything we had built. Over the next few weeks, things weren't perfect, but I could see Lauren making an effort. She was being more open with me, more transparent, and she made it clear that she was committed to rebuilding the trust we had lost. I could see the effort in her eyes every time we talked about the affair, every time she apologized again. But even as she showed me her remorse, I couldn't help but feel the heaviness of the situation. It was like a shadow that hung over everything we did. We had small victories, like when we spent a day together without talking about the affair, or when we went on a date night and actually enjoyed ourselves. But there were still tough moments. There were nights where I would wake up and remember what had happened, where I would question if I was making the right decision. The hardest part wasn't just rebuilding trust, it was learning how to be open again. I didn't know how to fully let go of the pain. I didn't know how to stop feeling like the betrayal was always just beneath the surface. But slowly, I realized that moving forward was going to take time, more time than I had imagined. We weren't out of the woods yet. I wasn't sure if we would ever fully heal, but we were taking small steps. And that, for now, was all I could ask for. It's been a couple of months since that difficult conversation with Lauren, and honestly, I felt like I'm living in a state of limbo. Things have been better between us. She's been transparent. We've gone to therapy together, and I've seen her making efforts to show me that she wants to fix things. She hasn't been perfect, but she's been trying, and I can't ignore that. But at the same time, there's this lingering feeling of uncertainty that I can't shake. The emotional weight of what happened still feels very fresh. Every time I think I'm starting to move past it, something small triggers those old feelings of betrayal. A simple glance at her phone, a night when she stays out late for work, or even something as simple as a passing thought, reminding me that she had once chosen someone else over me. It's like my mind can't let go of the past. Lauren has been patient with me, and I know she's doing everything she can to rebuild the trust. She's shown me consistency, but it's been hard for me to believe that it's enough to overcome the lies and the betrayal. Some days, I wake up and feel hopeful, thinking that maybe we could make this work. Other days, I look at her and feel like a stranger in my own marriage. It's exhausting. One evening, after a long day of work, I came home to find Lauren sitting in the living room, looking unusually quiet. I had just returned from a meeting with my therapist, and I was trying to process what I had learned in the session. But when I walked in, I could feel the tension in the room. Something was different. Something was off. Lauren stood up when she saw me and came over, her eyes searching mine. "Jake, we need to talk." My heart sank. Every time she said that, I felt a wave of dread wash over me. I wasn't sure if I was ready for another difficult conversation, but I knew that I couldn't avoid it. I needed to hear what she had to say, even if it made me uncomfortable. "Okay," I said, taking a deep breath and sitting down on the couch. She hesitated for a moment, taking a seat next to me. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened. About everything. And I know you're still struggling with it. I can see that. But I need to tell you something." My heart started racing again. My gut told me this was a turning point, one way or another. "What is it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've been having some doubts too," she said quietly. "I've been thinking about what happened between us and wondering if we can ever truly fix things. I've been afraid to tell you because I didn't want to hurt you again, but I think you need to know that I'm still struggling too. I don't want to lose you, but I can't keep pretending like everything's perfect. I don't know if I can fully fix what I broke." I stared at her, the weight of her words hitting me harder than I expected. I hadn't anticipated this. I hadn't expected her to admit that she still had doubts, that she was still questioning whether we could ever truly heal. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. The flood of emotions was overwhelming. On one hand, I felt a sense of relief that she was finally acknowledging the complexity of our situation. But on the other hand, I felt a renewed sense of fear. The fear that we might never truly be able to fix this, that all the efforts we had made might never be enough. I looked at her, searching for something in her eyes. "I'm struggling too, Lauren," I said, my voice hoarse. "I don't know if I can ever fully trust you again. But I don't want to give up either. I'm not sure where we're going, but I think we need to take things one day at a time." Lauren nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "I know. And I don't want you to feel like I'm giving up on us. I love you, Jake. I really do. But I think we both need to come to terms with the fact that this is going to take time, more time than we've given it so far. We can't expect things to go back to the way they were overnight." I exhaled slowly, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. We were finally being honest with each other in a way we hadn't been before. It didn't make the pain go away, but it felt like a small step forward. Maybe we weren't at the end of the road yet, but maybe we weren't completely lost either. "I think I can do that," I said quietly. "I don't know if we'll ever be the same, but maybe we don't need to be. Maybe we just need to figure out who we are now, together or apart." Lauren reached for my hand, her fingers trembling as she squeezed it. "I'm willing to try, Jake. I'm not giving up on us, and I'll keep doing the work. I'll keep showing you that I can be the person you need me to be. But I need you to be patient with me too." For the first time in a while, I felt a spark of hope. It wasn't a clear answer. It wasn't a promise that everything would magically fix itself. But it was a start, a small, fragile start. And maybe that was all we needed for now. It's been several weeks since our heart-to-heart conversation at the cafe, and things have slowly started to shift in a way I hadn't anticipated. We're not where we used to be, but we're also not at the end. I'm still unsure about what the future holds for us, but I can feel small changes happening. And while I'm not ready to say that everything is perfect, it feels like we're finally starting to move in the right direction. Lauren and I have been talking more openly, and it's something I didn't realize we had been missing for so long. There are still difficult conversations, some where we revisit the pain and hurt, and others where we try to rebuild the trust that was shattered, but each one brings us closer to a place of honesty. It's exhausting, but it's also necessary. I think the biggest shift has been the way we're both approaching the process of healing. We're no longer pretending that everything will just magically return to how it was. We're taking it day by day, acknowledging the reality of the situation, and accepting that the journey isn't going to be short or easy. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like we're both genuinely committed to figuring things out together. There are still moments of doubt. Sometimes I catch myself thinking back to the betrayal, imagining her with Mark, and it hurts. There are still nights when I lie awake, wondering if I've made the right decision. But there are also moments where I feel like maybe, just maybe, we can rebuild. I'm not saying we'll ever be exactly the same, but I'm starting to believe that we can create something new. Something stronger, though it might take time to get there. One evening, after a long week, Lauren and I sat down together on the couch, something we hadn't done in a while without feeling this huge weight between us. We had just finished dinner, And instead of retreating into our separate spaces like we had been doing for months, we decided to spend some time talking. We talked about our day, about our hopes, about what we still wanted from each other. But the conversation eventually turned to the past, as it often does. "I've been thinking about how far we've come," Lauren said softly, her voice vulnerable. "And I know I don't deserve it, but I can feel you trying, Jake. You're giving me a chance, even though I hurt you in the worst possible way. And I know I've made mistakes, but I want you to know I'm doing everything I can to make this right." I turned to look at her, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel resentment or anger bubbling inside me. There was still pain, of course, but it wasn't overwhelming. "I'm trying to, Lauren. I can't promise that I've forgiven you yet, but I'm trying to move forward. I'm trying to believe that we can get past this." She nodded, wiping away a tear. "I know it's going to take time. I'm not rushing you. I just want you to know I'm here, and I'm doing the work. I'm not giving up." And as I looked at her, sitting beside me with such sincerity in her eyes, I realized something important. This wasn't about going back to what we had. It was about moving forward, together or apart, but being honest with each other. This journey wasn't going to be easy, and it wasn't going to be quick, but we were taking it one step at a time. The days that followed felt like a mix of progress and setbacks, but we were moving forward. Slowly but surely, Lauren and I started carving out new memories together. There were still rough patches, of course, but I could see that we were both committed to doing the work. We still attended therapy sessions together, and it was helping us communicate better. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. Lauren was more open than she had ever been before, and I could see the regret in her eyes when she spoke of the affair. She no longer seemed like someone who was just trying to convince me that everything was okay. She seemed genuinely remorseful and determined to rebuild what we had lost. And though I still wasn't sure if I could ever fully trust her again, I couldn't deny the effort she was putting in. But most importantly, I was realizing that the healing process wasn't just about Lauren, it was about me, too. It was about rediscovering what I wanted from this relationship and whether I was ready to move past the pain. I was still working through it, but for the first time in months, I felt like I had a sense of direction. I don't have all the answers. I don't know if Lauren and I will be together forever, but for now, I'm choosing to take this journey one day at a time. We're in a fragile place, but it's better than being stuck in that constant cycle of pain and silence. There are no guarantees, but I'm willing to give it a chance. Maybe this is the beginning of something new. Maybe we'll look back on this one day and see it as a turning point in our marriage, a test that we were able to work through. Or maybe it'll be the end. I don't know yet. But for now, we're trying. And sometimes, that's all you can do.